We need to start supporting each other in a more conducive way, because the way we support each other is nothing but violence that gives these people, the police officers, the judges, judicial system, that give them the right to mistreat us. And I'm too tall.
You can't do that! You can't do that! You can't do that! That's assault! That's assault! That's a lawsuit, bitch! That's a lawsuit!
So context is important, and we're going to start by talking about how this whole incident began. So around 4:20 p.m., there was an employee with SAFE who was working her assigned section of the stadium. At that time, she's making sure people that are coming have the appropriate tickets for where they're going. Some children approached her to go to the section they didn't have tickets for, so she asked them to go find their parents and to come back with a ticket. There was some discussion back and forth about getting this ticket when eventually Walter Brown arrived and pushed the SAFE worker out of the way, accused her of kidnapping his children and threatened to kill her, and then grabbed one of his children and dragged them along up the stadium stairs and told his other kids to follow him.
I'm not going to jail. You stop me.
Poor baby, poor baby, poor baby. He got to watch this. Lady, get back. I mean, security. Like, what are you doing?
As you can see, even after a very violent encounter, even Officer Kelly Bowers are issuing any more strikes. They're not utilizing any other force because he's now complying and the force is stopped.
He's still moving, still resisting. They made that look good.
So now we're going to move on to the second incident that occurred later on in the day. So the first video we're going to show you, similar to the first, is a video that began circulating on social media that does not provide the full context of what occurred. So this all began around 6:30 to 6:50 p.m. when, again, a SAFE worker was working their assigned area of the stadium, and they had some fans that were causing issues with other fans. Specifically, these three men, Michael Long, Anthony Long, and Brandon Boley, were making threats towards other fans. They were getting in people's faces, creating an unsafe environment. There were fans that complained to SAFE that they felt like they were unsafe sitting in their seats. They went up to the upper deck. The SAFE employee engaged them multiple times, gave them warnings to stop, warned them they could be ejected, and they still continued on with their behavior. While this is taking place, and the SAFE employee is dealing with them, one of the fans actually took it upon themselves to go try to find a police officer to come help the SAFE worker because of how unruly they were becoming. So what we're going to see is we're going to see the body-worn camera footage of the three officers involved. The first video we're going to see is going to be from Officer Anthony, and it's going to be of the footage right whenever he's flagged down by the fan that was there, and it will proceed on to the encounter from that point. Once again, first 30 seconds is not recorded via audio until they activate their camera.
in like a shirt, like a
Where?
down there, and he was like, "Can you please send somebody down here?"
Where? Come show me.
Down those stairs.
Come show me.
Stadium Crockett Gate 1. I've seen a total of 3 officers at Gate 1.
That's right.
The next body-worn camera we're going to see is going to be Sergeant Beasley, who was the second responding person during this incident. And the next BWC we're going to see is from Officer Catino, the third officer that responded to this incident to use force. As you'll see in this videos and the others as it plays, there were multiple fans that thankfully stepped into So as I was saying, there were a number of fans you can see in these videos that actually stepped in to assist because of how volatile the situation was. So a couple points of emphasis on this video. As you saw, the three gentlemen, whatever you want to call them, they were asked to leave multiple times without any use of force. Repeatedly, they stayed in their seats. They wanted to negotiate the situation. They did not want to obey the officer's command to leave the stadium, which they had a lawful authority to do. Only then did it escalate as far as the JSO's use of force. When Sergeant Beasley attempted to grab Michael Long to physically remove him, Michael Long pulled his hand back and then assumed a fighting stance, which we're going to see in this picture right here. Go back one. As you see right there, he's in a fighting stance, his right hand cocked back. That is a fighting stance that Sergeant Beasley was presented with. At that point, Sergeant Beasley delivered 2 strikes, grabbed Michael Long, and pulled him, trying to pull him out of the crowd into the stairway. At that point, in the next photo, you'll see Anthony Long jumps on Sergeant Beasley in a bear hug and is so forceful in his grabbing of Sergeant Beasley that if there was not a bar behind Sergeant Beasley there, he would have been taken to the ground. But because there wasn't, he was able to maintain his footing, and then he begins to enter into a physical confrontation with Anthony Long, which we saw in his body-worn camera footage. This isn't a tap, it's not gentle, it's physical force that was being used against the officers that they were responding to. All right? The next clip we're going to play is going to be of Sergeant Beasley's body-worn camera as he's engaged with Anthony Long. So there's an important distinction to be made. It's one thing to say you're not doing something wrong whenever you may actually be doing something wrong. Your words do not equal your actions. At this point, Anthony Long continued to resist Sergeant Beasley after grabbing him. He was putting his hands on him. He does not have the ability or the lawful reason to do so, so Sergeant Beasley was using force to combat the force that's being used against him. Again, you can't just touch an officer and then say you're not doing anything wrong, and that's what Sergeant Beasley was responding to. So we'd like to address another video that was posted to social media that captured a different angle of this encounter with Michael Long, and we'll show you in this next video right here. So this clip, and I'm going to say clip specifically because this clip took a small portion that was most unfavorable to the officer to post on social media. We thankfully were able to find the original clip that had the beginning of it trimmed off and that was later circulated on social media. We'll show you that in this next video. So you see the original clip had Michael Long engaging with the officer, grabbing him, moving his hand to the officer's face,
That's
physically
right.
engaging the officer, but the officer then utilizes force to take him into custody. And if you look at the slow motion clip we have, he's putting his officer on his hand on the officer's face, near his eyes, near his face. While simultaneously in other videos that we've seen, he's grabbing the officer's gun belt. He is engaged with Officer Anthony. It's not a simple matter that Officer Anthony pulled him out of a crowd and decided to unnecessarily start attacking him. He was responding to the force that was being used against him. He responded with force in kind. And then here's another angle of that encounter that will again show Michael Long wrapped up with the officer engaging him with force. So when you watch that video in concert with all the other ones, you see that Michael Long is using force against Officer Anthony, and Officer Anthony is using force to respond to the force being used against him. And it's important to note why he was using the force he was using is whenever someone grabbed someone the way Long grabbed Officer Anthony with his arm up by his head, there's a number of things he can do. He can grab his chin, his head, and pull Officer Anthony back, throw him off balance. He can try and flip him forward. So a typical way that we do training to defeat something like that, one option is to push them down, try and gain distance between your hips and that person so you can dislodge them from attacking you. That's what Officer Anthony did. Michael Long was in an elevated position on a stair above him, which made it even harder. So he's pushing down on Long while also using strikes until he was able to push him off of him and begin using other methods to take him into custody. Sure.
Thanks, Jake. So it's disheartening to announce on stage that social media is not necessarily real, or at least what you see on social media is not a real depiction of what's actually going on. Once again, we're seeing an intentionally misleading video clip, one lacking proper context, pushed out on social media to drive a false narrative. As leader of this agency, I will not remain silent while important facts and information are buried to advance an anti-police agenda. Won't do it. It's just not going to happen. The truth is Walter Brown, Michael Long, Alexander Long, and Brandon Boyley were aggressive and non-compliant with Everbank safe workers, and when those safe workers called for JSO officers to eject them, these suspects refused to comply with the police officers and resisted the officers in violation of Florida law. The outcome of...
Hey there, my Queen Kings. I just wanted to come back and kind of like bring this video to you just a little bit differently. This part of the video is actually from another video that I did, which is the first part to this. However, I just wanted to show you that things aren't always how you see it. When we looked at some of these videos, this is the Florida versus Georgia game. What they showed basically didn't depict what actually happened. I mean, we're watching these people. Look at this. These officers, when you just first look at this, it looks as though these officers they're just beating these men to a pulp. It looks like, and then they definitely didn't hone in on the Caucasian man. They really did this video because of this black man. You see how they just stopped and froze. Why? Because whenever a black man get caught on the other side, it's always the real excessive negativity. Why? Because they don't want to pinpoint the fact that black people have been through a lot, especially when it comes to police brutality. But what makes a black police officer not able to go to a Caucasian person and do his or her job? That's not right. So this video basically is showing that this black officer, both of them, in this video and also part 1 to this video,
while this is taking place,
he did what he was supposed to do. I mean, you got these older senior citizens that actually felt like they were so entitled to that they can actually abuse, mistreat, and be entitled when a police officer comes and confronts you. I want you to see that it's not just black people. White people do it, and they do it on a different level.
First 30 seconds is not recorded via
They do it to a place of where, oh, you can't talk to me like that, or you don't know who I am. But if you notice, this lady actually came to the police officer and said that the safe worker needed help. The officers didn't just go, this is her. She's letting them know someone said that they need help because they're feeling threatened and they feeling as though these particular gentlemen are out of control. Would you please eject them? So what did the officers do? They followed up on the call because the employees at this football game have the right to call them and eject someone out. And clearly this is what just happened. But when these officers came, I don't know what made these young old men, well over their 60s, feel as though they can be disobedient, disrespectful, and entitled. Challenging an officer, walking up in his face, giving him his points. You need to do this, you need to do that. And that's what happened in this video. I don't need to beat this horse not dead like that. The video speaks volumes. I don't need, there's really nothing else for me to follow up on other than this point right here. Things have changed. The rules that used to apply, those rules don't exist anymore. There is no such thing as entitlement. When a black person do something, let's stop trying to hold them all the way down to the ground, especially when we need to look at the full story. The full story to this video is, look at this man right here. This man is totally being mouthy, and then he got his constituents that feel as though that they can talk to these officers any kind of way. I mean, come on now, what you doing, Uncle Tom Tim, with your white beard? What are you doing? We love the beard, we love that, it's great, but come on now, don't cross over for a dumbass reason. Especially when you know this officer isn't wrong. The officer is doing his job. I mean, come on, Pops, get the hell on. Nobody cares, you're drunk. Now, this is a time where he act like he's drunk. And look how he's resisting. The man said, let's leave. Okay, we all want to talk about who's resisting and who's not. Clearly, this man was resisting. He was resisting from the beginning. He resisted to the end. Yes, older men, white men like that, you're the ones that set the stage to feel as though you're so entitled and black people are actually of other to you. So now you got to get your ass beat. And you didn't get beat just because a black officer was prejudiced. You got beat because a black officer was trying to retaliate on you because of what you were doing to him. And you were being disrespectful. You were flinching like you gonna fight. Walking up in this man's face. He telling you to move with your Florida Gator shirt on. And you think you're gonna sit there and act like a gator. No, put your hands down and haul ass. I mean, right there you resisted about 15 times. Haul to the ass, man. Look at this. Look at this. I mean, you got these old officers scrapping. Look at that. I mean, and these people really fighting the officers back. And this officer beating him up and trying to defend himself and trying to save the spectators and stuff like this. Look at this. Yeah, his badge, his camera is down on the ground. He don't even know he don't have on the camera. But look how he has to try to fight these men off of him. This isn't right. And then there's videos circulating out there only showing half and part of the story. You cannot believe any and everything you hear and see, especially on social media. It's the same thing I try to tell you about some of these content creators. Oh, people think I go in hard. No, I go in harder. I don't just go in hard. I go in harder. I go in harder because the truth has to be told. I mean, people fluctuate. They decide on their own. They make their own decisions. There's nothing wrong with that. But the truth of the matter is, this video spoke volumes. There's no sense in me beating this with a dead horse. I said what I said, and that is what it is. I hope you watch the video thoroughly. You see that, I mean, because from my understanding, both of these officers, the one from the old video and the one from this one right here, both of these officers are getting death threats. I mean, they're getting threatened with their lives. They're getting threatened with things with their family. They're just getting threats. Why? Because they had to do their job. But I just find it so unreal that when it happens on the opposite side and the other side of the foot, why don't those officers get treated the same way? So here's the video. You make your own decision. There's your girl, Queen Dee Dee. Yep, what Dee Dee said it, and she said it, and she just said it again. Like, share, comment, subscribe. If you don't do anything else, you can get to know me.
Thanks, Jake. So it's disheartening to announce on stage that social media is not necessarily real, or at least what you see on social media is not a real depiction of what's actually going on. Once again, we're seeing an intentionally misleading video clip, one lacking proper context, pushed out on social media to drive a false narrative. As a leader of this agency, I will not remain silent while important facts and information are buried to advance an anti-police agenda. Won't do it. It's just not going to happen.
This is your girl, Queen Dee Dee, with Dee Dee Said It. All I can say is like, share, comment, subscribe. If you don't do anything else, I say get to know me. Yes, you notice, yes, your girl got on her all that. Who says a 6'2" queen can't, what's this?